Good afternoon and a warm welcome to the Alzheimer Europe Conference edition 30. The wonderful music by Stefan Geusebroek and Julia Rusanowski sailed you in gently from wherever you are into Amsterdam. And we welcome you here from the passenger terminal in Amsterdam. And in other days, normal days, I would like to say, cruise ships would be sailing in, and we would be welcoming guests from all over the world coming from the boats and going into the city. But now everything's empty and the water is quiet, and we have the complete passenger terminal to ourselves, and we will try and provide you a lovely experience, even though this year it's online. Well, doesn't matter because we're still connected. The theme of this year is Dementia in a Changing World. Well, that's quite clear, isn't it? But your theme, and I'm proud to announce it, is that you always want a Europe that is more friendly towards dementia. So that's a very good aim to have. My name is Kim Koppes. I'll be the Master of Ceremonies today. That means that I will be moderating and I'll guide you through the program and tell you all that is happening and keep track of time, things like that. But most importantly, I want to interact with all of you from where you are watching and participating. So we will make sure that we talk to you, answer your questions, and we will provide you questions, and we want to really involve you. So I'm very honored to do that because I found that your organization is a really inclusive one. You really do want to make people participate. And I know that participants in this conference are from researchers to policy makers to industry to all kinds of caretakers and scientists and doctors to people who have to deal with Alzheimer's themselves on a daily basis. So to learn from them and to learn from their experience completely. I'm really proud that you managed to do that. A lovely program with workshops and speakers and discussions, and we will guide you through it as we go along the way. But I'm not alone because I'm just the Master of Ceremonies. We are very happy that with us and with me on Zoom, but he is here, is your Executive Director, Jean-Georges. He's joining us from Luxembourg. Hi, how are you, Jean?
Goedemiddag, Tim. How are you?
Wow, goedemiddag.
Good to be here.
Yeah, good. Where would you have been if the world hadn't changed in this way?
We would have been in Bucharest in Romania this year, but with the changing world that we're living in, it's going to be virtual. But I'm sure it's going to be just as interesting and as interactive as it would have been with a face-to-face meeting.
Probably. But if it was a live meeting with people in person, what would you have been doing right now? Shaking hands?
We would also have been sitting in a room listening to the opening ceremony. True. And been listening to our chairperson and other honored guests.
Yeah.
But here we will be doing that without actually sitting next to one another.
Yeah, well, but that's good too, because I feel like you're sitting next to me, right? Yes, absolutely. You are. In a way, you're very close. So what would you like to say about your expectations of the day, Jean? Go ahead.
Well, just first of all, a big welcome, of course, to all the people that are connecting. I think we have already over 150 people that are connecting to this opening ceremony. We really hope that it's going to be just as interactive as it would have been in a face-to-face meeting. We really wanted to make this platform as dynamic as possible, but it's really also up to you as attendees to make the most of it. And one of the first things that you absolutely should be doing as attendees is fill out your profile, and one of the things I would be pointing you to is the interest that you can include, because the more detailed you tell us what you're interested in, you will then be able to meet other attendees that have similar interests. You will see the sessions and symposia that have that will meet your requirements. So it will really make your experience of this conference a lot more interactive. So that's one thing that I would like you to do. But I really feel that we already have an incredible wealth of interesting posters. We have fantastic big oral presentations. So please go and check those out. But for each one of those, you always have the opportunity to ask questions to the presenter, leave comments, because these people have spent a lot of time preparing for this conference. So they will really be looking forward to your kind of feedback. Mm-hmm. Then we have our sponsors and exhibitors. So please go and visit them and see what they are sharing with you. There's interesting videos publications that you can have a look at. So absolutely make sure to do that as well. But I think the one thing that we are most proud of is that we have a really exciting live program, and we really have some world-class speakers that will be sharing some of their information over the next 2 days. So I really hope that you will enjoy that, all the parallel sessions as well. And at all times, please do not forget that you have the opportunity to ask questions, because it would be a shame to have world-class speakers speaking to you and you not being able to tell them what you think of their presentations or asking them questions. So tell us what do you expect, and make sure to be as interactive as possible.
Thank you so much. But one more question before we start, Jean. Making dementia a European priority. How is that going? Is that succeeding?
I really felt, well, one of the reasons why we are calling our conference Dementia in a Changing World was that we were really proud of the many achievements that we've been able to get over the past years. And unfortunately, due to the COVID-19 pandemic, of course, the lives of people have been impacted, the lives of researchers have been impacted, the kind of national dementia strategies that organizations have been campaigning for have been put on a bit of a hold. So there's a number of things that are unfortunately now put on hold and are not progressing as much as it should. So we're really hoping to use this conference as an opportunity to raise the profile of dementia again at the European level and build on the achievements that we've had in the past.
Exactly, we'll be discussing that, right? Also, maybe there are some advantages even to be found, or things that you want to keep and build on in this typical area and time. Yes? All right. Well, let's see if people are able and willing to participate, and let's ask them a question. I suggest maybe you can do that, because you have your conference app here, IO, and we want to ask you something. Of course, we're very curious to find out where you are. So if you answer the multiple choice version, we can see the results maybe later. Where are you? Are you at home? Are you in an office? Are you in a laboratory or in a research setting somewhere else? Are you somewhere outdoors? Are you in a train, a bus or a boat, in a bathtub, somewhere else, anywhere? Could be, it's possible. Excuse me?
And there's people are connecting, there's over 60 answers already. So
oh, that's very good, that's very good.
And dying to share what they're doing.
So where do you usually attend an online conference?
Me personally, normally from the office, I have to say. Either office or at home, depending at what time.
Not in strange places. No, I see. So
not in the bath yet, but that might be a good idea, something to do in the future.
Okay, so how many attendants have answered your question about now?
127.
Oh, look, that's going very well, right? So please, if you just joined us, maybe you can find the Conference IO app, because through the day and through the 3 days we want to ask you questions all the time. So now we see some results already. Oh, I see, Jean, that most of them are at home. Yeah, well, that's probably the advice in most countries. 36 countries participants come from, right? And I see that from home, 77% in the office, so probably quite an empty office. And then the other options, well, they don't show what they are, but I think that most part is in a very common place, and I hope that the home is comfortable. Yeah, did you see the results? Surprised, John?
Not really, because I would have expected most people to probably connect from the office, yes.
So now we would really love to find out from what country and city people are. Because, like I said, so many countries attending, right? Jean, yes?
Absolutely, there's 42 is the latest count that we have, and we
42, so 36 was conservative. That's great, that's great. So it's really an international conference. So can you please tell us in what country you are, and maybe in what city or town you are? Never mind how small it is, we want to know, because we want to know who we're talking to. Would be lovely to find out. Are people finding their way, Jean, to this? You are.
Absolutely, and there's 95 or 96 people around.
Wonderful.
People are really dying to let us something, tell us about where they're connecting, what they're doing.
This is way faster than a postcard. So what town are you in right now?
I'm in Luxembourg City. So,
Luxembourg City, yes.
Which is where I work and where I live as well.
Yeah. That's your town. What's the best part of Luxembourg to you? What?
I'm from the south of the country, so I would have to say the south of Luxembourg is different from the rest of Luxembourg.
Is it? Is it? Yeah. In what way?
It's more the kind of, it's the industrial south of the country, and it's where the workers live, and it has a slightly different feel to it.
Feeling to it.
Yes. Yeah.
All right, thank you. So maybe we can see where people are from. No, we cannot see that yet. So, but maybe you see it on your screen, Jean. Maybe you have answers already coming in. Do you?
I can have
Otherwise, we will
look
just
at that.
Yeah, take a look, maybe. You see him; he's like a true operator, working on results.
It's a shame I can't share my screen at the same time because you would actually be seeing the results. But going, because this is actually a kind of word cloud, so there's an awful lot of. Well, we have Luxembourg, funnily enough, Malta, the Netherlands, Scotland, Belgium, Amsterdam, Antwerp, Estonia, Munich. These seem to be some of the kind of big places. We have Brisbane, Australia.
Nice.
We have Dortmund.
Brisbane, Australia.
We have a whole range. And Zeist in the Netherlands.
Yeah, I grew up there.
How big a place that is.
I did. I grew up there. That's my hometown, Zeist. That's what you say.
Fantastic.
But I'm really happy that Australia is here. So we really have the European contest feeling, right? Because that's
Absolutely.
also Europe with Australia, which always puzzles me. But we have that same feeling here. Lovely that you're all there. Let's ask for the other questions. So what do people hope for in this conference? What do they hope to learn, to find, to share? To what did they expect? No, hope. Maybe they can enter that answer in the Conference
and again,
IO
the
app.
polling is open.
Yes, polling is open for that. So then we can listen and find out what you really want to learn and know, and
when it comes to hope, people seem to be a bit more slow to answer because at the moment we only have 7. It was easier probably to say where they're from than what they are hoping for.
I think that's good. I think it's good yes, I think it's good that people just concentrate and focus for a while and think, what do I hope to get out of this 3 days of interesting sessions? So
we definitely have knowledge, we have connections, inspiration, learning.
Of course, learning, inspiration.
New people, research, presenting technology, therapeutics. There's a whole range, but knowledge and information connections are really the kind of themes and hopes that seems to be standing out from what people have answered so far.
Yes. Are we going to show the word cloud or aren't we? No, we're not going to do that. So were there words missing that you didn't name yet? One more?
No, I think that was most of the...
Okay.
I think that's it on the questions and answers.
Okay, good. Yes, that's nice. It's very lovely to know that you're all there and that you're hoping for things that we hope to provide, right? Information and knowledge and connection. That's good. And there are more people here that want to welcome you, right, Jean? Maybe you can introduce our first guest welcoming. Oh no, maybe we could go to... Before we do that, let's take a look at an introductory video of you and the organization. Yes? Yes, wonderful. Does that make you proud when you see that? John?
Absolutely. It's always nice to see, looking back at a year full of achievements and see the very many people that have contributed to the success of the organization over the past year.
Yeah, many.
But with that, I think it's really time to also give the floor to Eva Holmerová from the Czech Republic, who is the chairperson of Alzheimer Europe. And after listening to Kim and me, it's absolutely time to now formally welcome everybody and the formal opening. Thanks to Eva. Over to you, Eva.
Thank you very much, Jan and colleagues. Yes, I would like firstly to greet you from Prague. It is the city that was not mentioned yet, so greetings also from the Czech Republic. Dear ladies and gentlemen, but above all, dear friends and colleagues, it is really with great pride and pleasure that I herewith again formally open the 30th Alzheimer Europe Conference, which, like so many other conferences and meetings in these unprecedented times, will take place virtually. COVID-19 has undoubtedly created new challenges for people living with Alzheimer's disease and other types of dementia, for their families and carers, for healthcare professionals and researchers, but also for the National Alzheimer's Associations, which were created to provide information, support, counseling, and other vital services. It is therefore not surprising that we decided to organize this year's virtual conference under the motto, Dementia in a Changing World, because our world is a changing one. Mm-hmm. As the chairperson of Alzheimer Europe, I have truly been fascinated and extremely pleased just at how your national organization have risen to the challenge and adapted their services to the new situation. They have provided counseling and support via teleconferences, using new technologies to connect people with dementia with each other and also with their families. They provided information on the pandemic in easy to understand language, specifically targeted at people with dementia. Adapted routines in daycare and nursing homes to protect residents and clients and continue their lobbying towards national governments to ensure that dementia remains a priority despite the ongoing pandemic. We will undoubtedly have the opportunity to learn more in the next 2 days, how the dementia community has adapted to the new situation. And I really look forward to learning from other countries, organizations, and colleagues, and you, dear friends. The short video, which we showed at the beginning of this opening ceremony, showcased some of the highlights and achievements of Alzheimer Europe since we last met in The Hague last year. The work of Alzheimer Europe would not be possible without an incredible group of people, partners and supporters. And this richness and variety of experiences and knowledge make our annual conference quite an exceptional networking and learning opportunity. This year, we welcome over 700, precisely 757 participants from 42, as you already mentioned, countries. It is an incredible number. And everybody will be joining us for this new virtual adventure and conference. You will be able to choose between live sessions and presentations, as well as posters and quick oral presentations, which you will be able to view at your own leisure. And we hope that you will also find the time to provide some comments, to ask questions to the many presenters, and also to interact as much as possible with other delegates. And we have tried to make this virtual meeting as interactive as possible. And thank you that you interact already from the very, very beginning. So it is, again, our great pleasure, is it?
Yes.
For everybody. As every year, I also wanted to single out the fantastic collaboration that Alzheimer Europe has developed with the INTERDEM network. This group of psychosocial researchers met earlier today. And it was a fantastic meeting again, and you will have the opportunity to listen to their chairperson, Myrra Vernooij-Dassen, in this opening ceremony, as well as a great number of other representatives during next session and next 2 days. You will also hear from a number of key projects which Alzheimer Europe has been involved with. So please make sure to pay a visit to the sessions organized by the Neuronet and Virtual Brain Cloud. Connecting researchers from different countries, discipline, fields, and specialties is a key aim of our conference. And at the same time, our conference connects researchers with people living with dementia and their carers. And I am especially delighted that 35 people with dementia, people living with dementia, will be attending this year conference, and that a number of them will play really an active part as it is quite usual. And we are very pleased that we have you with us again.
Yeah.
Over the next 2 days, we will have the opportunity to listen to our European working group of people with dementia, as well as hearing from other people with dementia as plenary speakers and participants in parallel sessions. The organizations of our annual conference is truly a team effort. So let me therefore thank the members of the organizing and program committee who helped us in selecting the best abstracts, and many other volunteers, of course, who volunteered in selecting this abstract. And the aim was to make this conference really a interesting and innovative event. And many thanks also is due to the health program of the European Union, quite new and quite excellent news for our society, which provides an operating grant for key activities of Alzheimer Europe, including our annual conference. I also wish to thank our corporate conference sponsors, Biogen, FPA, and Roche, for their fantastic and incredible support. So let me start and open the conference, and I really look forward to an information-packed 2 days. Enjoy our conference.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Eva Holmerová. You are re-elected as chairperson, aren't you? At the beginning of October, you were re-elected.
Yes.
Congratulations.
And it is really my pleasure and honor to continue this work and
yes.
to be supported by our fantastic staff, by our research officers and excellent executive director. So I really look forward to collaborate with, and also with our newly elected board members who participate at this conference, definitely.
It's wonderful.
And
yes.
With all national organizations, because it is them that make Alzheimer Europe.
It's true. Of course, it's a complete team effort, a big, large team. But happy that you're still joining us, and I see it makes you happy to work for the organization. It shows. Thanks so much. We're proceeding. We will be welcoming in by now, and hope you will have a great time here. We will be welcoming Helen Rochford-Brennan, but she will be pre-recorded. She has something to say to welcome you as well. She's a well-known dementia advocate from Ireland, from the town with the lovely name Tubbercurry. I really love it, Tubbercurry in Ireland. And she's chairperson of the European Working Group. She's been that since 2016. Helen is the second one I sing. Now we have, to 2020, and she will be stepping down from now, but now we will hear from her pre-recorded from Ireland.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the 30th Alzheimer's Europe Conference, Dementia in a Changing World, and how my world has changed, and all our worlds. As I prepared for today, I reflected on how much my life has changed during COVID-19. But although so much is different, there are many things that are still the same. People living with dementia continue to have their human rights denied and their voices unheard. We know this pandemic has affected people living with dementia in a disproportionate manner. We are isolated at home, dying in care homes, and unable to spend time with our family and friends. A diagnosis of dementia has the potential to bring fear, loneliness, and loss of life. A diagnosis of dementia during a pandemic from all that, plus much more severe isolation. I've heard a lot of people saying this should never happen again. You are right, but I want to ask you, what are you going to do about it? What will you do to ensure that people with dementia are never isolated in this manner again? And I repeat, never isolated. COVID-19 has changed all our worlds, and I know we're all scared and trying to adjust to the change, but we must not allow it to impact on our work, your work. I hope this conference motivates you to organize in your country, find the people living with dementia who are isolated and support them to be involved in research and policy. Become a robust ally. Be someone who asks, how can I make it better? And then takes action. It is up to you, the people here today, to be the leader in your own countries. This is my last conference. I have been a member of the European Working Group for 6 years as chair, or as chair for 4, and it has been a privilege and a pleasure. There are people without whom I could not have undertaken this work. The Alzheimer's Society of Ireland who nominated and supported me, and the team at Alzheimer's Europe who have empowered and supported me and given me so much help over the years. And I'd also like to remember my travel support, Carmel Gagan, and above all else, my family that gave me the freedom to go. I'm particularly grateful to the Board of Alzheimer's Europe for accepting a person living with dementia to the board and sharing power in a meaningful way. Too often our participation is tokenistic and we do not have power or influence. The Alzheimer's Europe board has ensured the lived experience in dementia is heard in a robust and equal manner to other board members, and that is important. To my colleagues in the European Working Group, again, I say thank you. Those thank yous are important for you to understand. People living with dementia can be active participants and leaders in policy and research, but we need support. Last year, I stood on the stage at The Hague and I told you, instead of asking me, Helen, or finding the Helen in your country to support your research project, to go back to your own country and to find that Helen. Find the marginalized, voiceless people local to you and listen to them. Now, a year later, I'm standing on the virtual stage asking, how did you get on? Did you do that? Did you seek out people who struggle to be heard and listen to them? Well done if you did, but if you did not, you need to ask yourself, why? Why didn't you? You must work harder to include the lived experience of dementia in your work. The past 8 months have been remarkably difficult across Europe. I know as you join us from your home, you may be struggling with the loss of a loved one, working from home, childcare, and finding a way to navigate this pandemic. We must support each other, and I believe our communities and kindness will get us through, but I have also faith in research. I want to say to you all that it is important now more than ever. We need evidence-based strategies to guide us through COVID-19, so keep up the good work. I would like to close with an Irish toast to all of you as I sit here in the northwest of Ireland. So here's to health, peace and prosperity. May the flower of love never be nipped by the frost of disappointment, nor the shadow of grief fall among your family and friends. Stay well, stay safe, and be kind to one another.
The power of love, Helen Rochnan talked about, so that's lovely. Let it never be shattered by disappointment. Did she say that? I really loved that. Jean, you are there to introduce now a Dutch researcher. That's nice.
Absolutely, and
yeah.
We really like just to comment on Helen,
Yeah.
and really she has been such a fantastic advocate, and there's really a number of things that I'm particularly proud of what we've done as Alzheimer Europe. One is how we have managed to involve people with dementia and the European Working Group led by Helen Rochford-Brennan.
Yeah.
But I'm also incredibly proud of the fantastic collaboration that we have with researchers in the psychosocial field, and this is a network which is called INTERDEM, and Myrra and Vernooij-Dassen Vernooij-Dassen has been their chairperson for the past, I think, she will tell me because I will get the number wrong, but for quite a number of years. And we're really happy about the fantastic collaboration that we've had with them. And over to her to also welcome the participants and delegates to this conference. Over to you, Myrra.
Myrra.
Thank you very much, Jean. And I'm very happy to welcome you in this conference on behalf of INTERDEM. But most of all, I want to express my gratitude and the gratitude of INTERDEM for hosting us and for the wonderful MOU we have with Alzheimer Europe. And this MOU is working really very well. And we are happy for this opportunity to meet and to disseminate our knowledge and to make plans for the future. And that is what we did this morning. And after this morning, I even long more to meet you in person.
Yeah.
It was a great opportunity. And well, to my surprise, it became a kind of meeting, but seeing each other, it's nothing better than that. And therefore, during this COVID-19 crisis, social distancing is really a thing, and it's a shared problem for all of us. So it's a weird situation. All of us are in a social experiment that never ever happened before. Mm-hmm. And it's hard for all of us, but it's endangering people with dementia. And I strongly support the call of Alzheimer Europe to visit and to contact people with Alzheimer as much as possible. So that's really something we have to do now. And what INTERDEM is doing now during this crisis is that we are very eager to share our knowledge and to get new knowledge on COVID-19 and on the dangers of social distancing. Well, we found ourselves in a situation that our knowledge, especially on social health, proved to be very, very actual and useful. And also our efforts of last year in making a manifesto in which we bridge the gap between social sciences and biomedical sciences proved to be very, very actual. And what we did this morning is that we had a meeting with all our task forces on technology, social health, intercultural differences, and preventions. And we found that not only these task forces are important, but that the collaboration between these task forces is even more important. And I think it's necessary, absolutely, that governments also listen to the knowledge of us social scientists in this field, and also on the disastrous influence social distancing can have on social, mental, and cognitive health. And I will tell you more about this later. But what INTERDEM did, and I'm very happy with that, is that we opened the floor for website blogs, and I will tell more of that also this afternoon. What is a good thing is that the consequence of social distancing is now that we cherish social contacts, and we become more and more aware of how important that is for us, and this offers also great opportunities for new interventions. And our key message in this crisis is that more than the virus should be combated. INTERDEM calls to balance in considering risks to be infected and the risk of social, mental, cognitive, and physical decline due to social distancing and especially to quarantine. And I strongly agree with Helen. We should not close nursing homes, and we should not exclude older people and people with dementia from our society. What a society we are in if we exclude these groups of people. A word about INTERDEM. INTERDEM is a voluntary organization with a loose structure, and we only focus on content. We have not such an organization, a legal organization. There is no fee, nothing. So, but it works well. And the question is, do we have to continue in this way or not? Well, that's a question for the future. And because INTERDEM is thriving at this moment, I think it's a safe moment to hand over the chair. And next year will be my last year as a chair of INTERDEM. But we really cherish continuity, and therefore the INTERDEM board unanimously choose Marjolein de Vught as a chair-elect, and I'm proud and happy that she wants to take on board this task. So together we will work this year and to pave the road for the next future, and I'm looking forward to a close collaboration this year. I end with a wish. I really want you to take care of yourself, take care of the virus, but take care of your social environment. That is absolutely necessary for your mental and physical and cognitive health. Cherish your bubble and also cherish your Zoom fellows. Thank you for your attention.
Yes, thank you so much, Myrra Vernooij-Dassen. Wonderful, and congratulations to Marjolein de Vught. So cherish every connection that you have and also the personal contact. Where are you now?
I'm now at home.
And where's that? In what town?
Oh yes, my home is in a little Elden called. It's a little village near Arnhem.
Aha, I see. And do you have?
I always have to explain Arnhem is near the German border.
Yeah. So, and do you have enough social contacts there available for you? You do.
I do, and I cherish them. Yes.
Good. Yes. Let's cherish everybody. That's a lesson we've learned very rapidly this year. Thank you so much. You'll be back, right? You just told us so. We will hear more from you in the conference. Thanks so much. Thank you. After this, we would like to ask you the same question. I think that John will open a new poll for you now, because we want to know what your aims are for this conference, because we've heard everybody in the welcoming committee tell us what to expect and what they hope for, but we want to know what your aims are, and we want to ask you which ones of the virtual conference aims are most important to you. Is it listening and interacting with interesting speakers? Yes, we hope they're very interesting. Do you want to find out more about sponsors or projects or organizations in the exhibition space? That's also a possibility that we provide. Do you want to network with other conference attendees? Because networking is always, in a live conference, a very, very main part of the conference. Do you want feedback for your presentations? True, can happen also. Or do you want to check out on-demand posters and presentations so you can do that in your own pace, which is, of course, an advantage of the online version usually. Well, it's quite clear. There's hardly any discussion here. Everybody wants to listen to and interact with speakers. That's very good. We also have the opportunity for you to ask questions all along in your Conference IO app. Please bother us with your comments, questions, and we will try to make sure that they are answered. For now, you can still answer, and we will can take a look back at the results if you want, but for now, we will have a short break, and we will listen to a gift to the brain for everyone. One of the best things in life, it's live music by Stefan Geusebroek and Julia Rusakowski. Yes, wonderful. Thank you so much. That's live music. What did you think, Jean? You're back.
Absolutely, it was nice. Definitely a nice break from session to session, and
Yes.
something to take in and enjoy.
Yes, and we have that here in the passenger terminal, and we are so lucky, me and the directing crew and the camera people, that we can listen to live music, which is also a rarity these days, right? We are going to discuss the theme of the conference right away now. We're going to talk about how the world's changed in the pandemic, and we have a few speakers here that can talk to us about it. But first of all, I wanted to ask you, Jean, are there already questions or comments coming in from the participants? And if not, maybe you can explain them how they can do that.
So at the moment, we haven't had any questions yet, but I think what people are very good at, if we are launching a question to them, they are really keen to answer, because we have currently 242 people which are online.
Wonderful.
And the last question that you asked was responded to by 202 people. So really, people are keen to not just sit here and listen, but to share their views and experience.
We really love that. But from now on, they can also ask questions and comment, right? And how do they do that? Do they have to do something different to start entering questions in the app?
It's on exactly the same site that you had.
Exactly.
You answered the questions that we asked you. You also have the possibility to ask questions, to leave comments. And we have some nice comments, like 61 people actually thought that the music was particularly live nice and good. So that was definitely very positive feedback.
Good.
We also have congratulations to Helen, to Eva, and to Myrra for the fantastic work that they have done in their respective roles. So far,
that's what we want to hear.
Provide good feedback.
Exactly, and we will want to hear that feedback from you, so we can listen to it and work with it. But you appreciate the music. We will have more music during these days. So now let's discuss the theme of today, and let's see how COVID-19 changed the world. We have 4 guests, but we will talk to our first guest, Helen, before, and we also pre-recorded this discussion. So I will provide her with a question and she will answer it. And later on, we will have 3 more guests to talk to us in kind of a round table, but then it's a Zoom round table, so we're not on a round table. We're trying to pretend and trying to connect in that way. So first we go to Helen Rochford-Brennan again for her answer to that question. Always a woman fighting for awareness and human rights for people with dementia and their caretakers. And we want to ask her, how has the COVID-19 pandemic affected you or your sector? And we're gonna shift from Mario, who's there already. Hi, it's lovely to have you here already. But we're gonna go to Helen first, if you don't mind, Mario. So yes, so how did it affect you or your sector? That's the question, and Helen answered it before, and we will listen to her answer right now.
So how did the COVID-19 pandemic affect me? Well, in the beginning, I was lonely and frightened. My husband was unwell and it was a difficult time. I stopped writing in my diary. It was hard to find something positive to write about. I looked back at my diary and it was blank. I wrote 1 line, COVID-19, all during the time that I cocooned. I felt the world had stopped. My friends and family couldn't visit. My advocacy work had stopped. My social life ended. I missed my son, who was living in London. And knowing that he could not come home was devastating. The television and the radio were all doom and gloom. I also missed a sense of purpose, which my advocacy role in Europe and Ireland brought to my life. However, I drew on my personal resilience and the support of my community, and I got through it. What really helped me was the way people came together. I met people in the neighborhood whom I never seen before as I was out walking. I found people's honesty refreshing. People were willing to admit they were lonely, and that made me feel that it was okay to be lonely.
Wonderful, thank you. So far, meeting your neighbors, that's something that you hear a lot, but it's also important to you, Helen. So I wanted to ask you, how did you or your sector adapt to the COVID-19 pandemic? What's your answer to that?
Are there things that have changed which will keep which I will keep once the pandemic is behind me. Well, there are. I got a dog, and I'll definitely keep him. I attended more meetings online, and this was good to be connected, to stay connected, particularly for people in rural areas like I am. I'm certainly going to keep staying in touch this way, but I was fortunate. I have access to Wi-Fi and the ability to use technology. Not everyone has this. Not everyone has the capacity to use a phone or a computer. People have become isolated because of the pandemic. Before, they would have hopped on a bus or a train and go to a meeting, and that is not now possible. Even for me, who could go online, I felt isolated. We all need human contact. That human connection is so important to us. I felt lonely and I missed people. My dog became very important because when I went walking, I met people and had conversations. Those were the conversations that kept me going. They gave me the human interaction in a safe and comforting way. And I stayed in touch with long lost friends, exchanging photos of my fun-filled times when I was young and mad in the United States and the United Kingdom. So I would just say, one of our great Irish writers, Thomas Moore, said, we need people in our lives that we can be as open as possible with. To have real conversations with people may seem like such a simple, obvious suggestion, but involves courage and risk. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm glad, and I am so glad, I picked up the courage to speak to strangers because they made my day, and it was a risk, but I took that risk, and I'm grateful for it.
Yes, thank you so much. So you were also already discussing what you wanted to keep, learned and keep in your daily habits to deal with everything. But we also asked you the question how you adapted. So maybe we can show your answer now. It's pre-recorded, so we mixed it up a little, but it doesn't matter. So Helen, tell us.
How did I adapt to the changes imposed by the pandemic? Well, the most important strategy was to get up and get dressed and move on. Put on the lipstick. It is very easy to get into a routine of staying in bed, and I knew that would not be good for me or the progression of my dementia. I tried to be positive. It wasn't easy, but I tried. I looked for the positives. I felt lucky to have such good neighbours and friends. I also reconnected with people abroad and used technology. In the beginning, I waited for people to reach out to me, but as time went on, I reached to them. Knowing that people are at the end of the phone for conversation and support was very supportive. And I read lots, and in particular, lots of poetry. It gave me a sense of uplifting.
Thank you so much, Helen. And I really love the advice. Put on the lipstick. Just put on the lipstick. I am wondering, Jean, maybe you can introduce him if Mario had the same approach to the pandemic, put on the lipstick. So maybe you can introduce him to us.
Yes, so the next speaker in this roundtable discussion is Mario Possenti, and he's the Secretary General of Federazione Alzheimer Italia, so the Italian member organization of Alzheimer Europe, who's based in Milan, one of the regions that was really hardest hit by the COVID-19 pandemic at the very, very start of the situation. So Mario, maybe how did you as an organization react to the situation?
Yes, we want to find out. So maybe Mario's here. Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Good afternoon. Where are you?
I'm in my office in Milan.
Yeah, in Milan. Welcome. Yeah, your region was hit hard and early.
Actually, yes. First of all, Italy was one of the first European countries to detect significant numbers of contagion in the early part of this year. Yeah. In particular, the northern part of Italy, the epidemic has spread to such an extent that emergency room and intensive care have been thrown into chaos in a really short period of time. Yeah. We did not understand at first what was happening because in other parts of Europe, restaurants were open, social life was going on regularly. So it was quite strange. We were in shock when we saw the terrible news followed one another. Yeah. And I don't know, Italy seems after China to be targeted by the virus for a strange game of fate. As far as possible, we talk to our colleagues abroad to trying to explain what was going on.
Mm-hmm.
But in the meantime, the epidemic was all over the places. So
True.
our organization, was hit like the other part of society. Association had to stop all the activities such as meeting centers, Alzheimer's Cafe, and all the initiatives that took place in person. Also, dementia-friendly communities has somehow become orphans without the possibility of having contact.
Yeah.
So the activities has to stop. The community is made up of people, not only from places. And if people cannot meet, the community slowly die.
Yeah. So Mario, did you think that there was enough attention by governments and all the people that you try to advise for people suffering dementia during the first stage of the pandemic?
Well, of course, no.
No, of course, no.
Yeah, part of our work is the advocacy work. We shared with Alzheimer Europe a battle for ensuring the triage of the people with dementia in emergency room. But of course, also we push our local and national politicians to reopen the centers in security.
Yes.
To be used by people with dementia and caregivers is very important to have a moment of.
Did they listen to you? Did that work out? Did they reopen?
Not yet.
No.
Not yet, but we are working on a document together with our National Institute of Health and on a document that will relate on indication on dementia and coronavirus within various settings, home, residential and semi-residential facilities. So it's quite a good work that will be published in the next few days and weeks.
Probably, yes. Thank you. Let's bring in Adelina Comas-Herrera because she's joining us and she's joining you. You can just talk to each other later on. A research fellow at the London School of Economics and Political Science. Hi, good morning. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Great. Good afternoon. How are you? How are you doing and where are you?
I'm speaking to you from Canterbury, from my kitchen, and
from your kitchen.
For a conference.
There's a problem. There's a problem for me with your sound, so I cannot hear what you are saying. Maybe there's an advice that people can give you. Yeah, let's try again. Yes. Remove the headset.
Now.
Can you maybe remove your headset? Is that possible?
Okay.
Look at that beautiful hair showing up. Oh, no, now we don't hear you. This is live. This is what happens live. Yes, this is better. No. Yeah, this is better. So, and then we talk slow and then I can probably hear you quite well.
Can you hear me now?
I think it's better without, right, Sibren? Taking it. I'm just... Yeah, maybe you can speak.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. Just to keep it in that.
Thank goodness.
This is always the exciting part because you are from far away. So I didn't hear where you are right now.
So yeah, I am speaking to you from Canterbury in England.
Canterbury.
My kitchen, yes.
You're in the kitchen, not cooking yet, but you are there. So many things happened for you as well. And you also have a particular interest in the financing of long-term care, of course. But now at the COVID-19 pandemic, you were helping with the development of a website. What kind of website was that? LTC-COVID.org. Yes.
So this was a bit of a spontaneous reaction. As Mario said earlier, we were aware of what was happening in March in Spain and in Italy.
Of course.
We were trying to share information internationally to see if we could learn from this and if we could also inform policymakers about and help them get ready for what we could see was happening and how this was going to affect people who use long-term care and people who provide it. So we created LTCCovid.org, which is very much a spontaneous initiative, but it's now developed, I think, into quite a good resource to be able to learn internationally about the impacts on people who use long-term care, of course, people living with dementia are pretty much a majority.
So what did the website help with? How can people use it?
So one of the first things we did was to ask experts to provide country reports to help us document what was happening. And then we spent quite a lot of time looking at data, trying to understand what the impacts were. Could we quantify the impact? And sadly, we found that the easier way to quantify the impact was through counting how many people were dying in care homes. Mm-hmm. It's a very sad piece of research, but I also think very important to show how important it was to make sure that the resources were in care homes and that we were able to support them in accessing testing, accessing PPE, which in many countries happened very late in the process.
Quick adapting to the new situation. Very, very well done. So now, Jean, can we hear you introducing our next speaker as well, please? Lennert, Steukers. Yeah.
I can absolutely do that, but I think we have an interesting slide with the kind of feedback from the audience, because
Tell us.
The audience, compared to last year, would they believe that the overall situation has either improved, has it deteriorated, or has it stayed pretty much the same? So
yes, you want to ask that question first. Let's do that. That's good.
If you could show the slide, because already over 150 people have already answered the kind of questions. So
improved. That's very interesting. But stayed about the same. Well, how do you explain that, Jean? How could people, because the world changed, but the situation stays the same? How is that possible?
I find it very interesting. Well,
me too.
40% of people still believe that the situation has actually deteriorated. So that's something that we kind of expected. I'm even more surprised that some people really feel that the situation has improved.
Yeah.
But there's also some real kind of resilience in people that are able to adapt to sometimes difficult situations and get on with their jobs, with their lives, with their kind of organizations. And I have to say, I've constantly been in awe in how organizations have responded to the kind of pandemic and have been able to adapt, find new solutions.
Rebalance.
So hopefully a lot of people feel that
what it is.
The situation stayed.
So they can also elaborate on the app, I suppose, to tell us what happened there or why it has improved, because that's interesting, or why it stayed the same. Maybe that's a balance matter, like you said, but maybe it's something else. We would love to know, and then Jean can tell us a little more about that later. But please, Lennert Steukers is waiting. So
absolutely. So sorry, Lennert, for letting you wait for a bit longer. But the next speaker is really Lennert, and Lennert Steukers, who works for Janssen, and he is the coordinator of a project called Neuronet. So he has a really good understanding of how the pandemic has impacted the pharmaceutical industry, how clinical trials have been impacted, but also how a lot of European projects that are involved in dementia research, how they have been impacted. And I think Lennert can give us maybe a quick overview of the kind of impact on research and clinical trials from a pharmaceutical industry point of view.
Exactly. That's nice that we have the industry here as well. Lennert, welcome. Hi. Wow. That is Rome, isn't it?
Well, I mean, despite what you're seeing on the screen, I'm actually not in Peru on much.
Peru, it's Peru.
But I'm also just sitting, at home.
And where's that? Where's that, Lennert? Tell us the truth.
Belgium.
Belgium, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, so
welcome.
Thank you so much. And Jean, I mean, absolutely happy to share some of the learnings or the insights that we did acquire. I mean, through IMI Neuronet, which is a coordination and support action supporting all the different neurodegeneration projects within the Innovative Medicines Initiative, the largest PPP in Europe. Project, but also, I mean, through some of the learnings, of course, that we faced in the company, right, and more specifically neuroscience early development, which I'm a part of. I think, as it has already been raised, looking back, and I think it's just looking at the sequence of events on how the pandemic started. But I think once the pandemic started raging through Europe, of course, I mean, we did see very quickly an overall progress being slowed down, right, on various stages of research, if you like, going from the pure lab bench work, the pure fundamental research, if you like, through preclinical to all the way up to clinical work. I think with the labs being closed, people not being able to actually go to work, staff being technically unemployed, that of course all hampered quite a lot the progress in research as such.
And did the clinical trials restart again already?
So I think one of the first consequences was indeed, the trials being suspended, right? I mean, and that was also being looked at by some of our partners in France, and they also reported about it. They went, for example, from on average 52 clinic visits to less than 5 clinic visits in a week. So you can imagine that many of the trials actually were suspended or severely delayed, right? But I think meanwhile, most of them have been, operationalized or starting up again. Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit holding our breath, I would say, at the moment, with the situation worsening again across.
Yeah, sure. Never know what's going to happen, so you have to have many scenarios ready here. I would love to see everybody together. Is that possible, Zoom Master? So this is like a round table. Now you can take a look at each other. I would like to ask you, and feel free if you want to be the first person to comment. How would you say that your sector, and it's nice that we have you all here from different areas, and please open your microphone. How did you adapt? What was the key to your quick adaptation to the situation? Who goes first? Lennert?
Yeah, sure. Well, I think, some of the trials were obviously ongoing, right? So people were actually getting an interventional drug being followed up in a clinical trial as well. We're normally going to come into clinic for clinic visits. Yeah. And all of a sudden that was no longer really possible, right? So I think in that sense, there was a quick acceleration needed towards a more remote setting. Going to teleconsultation, going to actually performing assessments in a remote manner. Yep. And I think, the challenges definitely for our area, neurodegeneration, is definitely that, a blood draw, that's one thing, right? But for example, a lumbar puncture or a PET scan, that are all things that cannot be done in a remote setting. So, it was really challenging to people that were in the midst of a trial to keep them on board and not, risk having bad quality of data in that sense as well from those.
Do you share that experience, Mario? Was it harder to reach people?
Well, yes, it was really hard. First of all, we had to activate ourselves as smart workings, and people from our staff could work remotely, which is common ground to start working during this pandemic. We had to invest in technology, communication, remote working, also conference softwares. We use it on a daily basis and so on. So we started on the other part of our work to inform the people, the caregivers. So we started with webinar for people with dementia and caregivers to give some practical advice how to behave, how to help people with dementia during lockdown.
Were they able to use the webinar? Were they able to attend it? Yeah, they were. Jean is nodding heavily. Yeah. How did you manage?
It was hard at first, but the last one was 350 people attending, which is a good number. And first of all, I think you can see on both sides, people with dementia and caregivers, challenge themselves to use something new. Yeah. And that was quite a challenge, but they were very happy to use it. And also this a daily call, a weekly call was a good way to pass the time, to
of course, yes, I see.
Which is, I think it's good and was very well tolerated, very well used.
Wonderful. So Jean, you were nodding, so you really feel the same, that people like that challenge.
I'd say, but I was surprised that, for example, I'm a member of the ethics committee of the Luxembourg Alzheimer's organization, and they have a nursing home which they run, which had to close down and where nobody could come and visit. And at the beginning was really difficult for people with dementia in the nursing home without any kind of contacts. And the staff was really reluctant. Well, how will people react to the kind of teleconferencing, the kind of apps that people are using? And they really thought, well, people with dementia will not learn something new. Yeah. And they found that no, people with dementia were absolutely able to learn new things. So they were able to adapt to the kind of apps that were being shown. And one of the people in the home actually said that some of the people, what they learned very quickly was the off button, because when they said from experience that some of the people in the nursing home sometimes have people visiting and they get tired after a while. And even when they get tired, they can't tell their family, please go now. Whereas when they were talking to them over the phone or over the kind of mobile app, they suddenly thought, well, this is getting too much for me. I want to go and eat. I want to talk to somebody else. I want to sleep.
Yeah.
And so that off button was something that they learned how to use really quite quickly.
So that's
nice to see the kind of adaptation that people are able to do.
And that's also something that you consider to keep, because that's an outcome for some people to have that button to stop people from talking. Adelina, you think so too? Is that one of the things that
yes,
we
absolutely.
have to? Yeah. Is there more in
absolutely
in the quick?
I think that.
Yeah.
I think that the use of technology in care homes is something that I expect will stay, and it's going to make a huge difference to improve connections. We know that people living in care homes were already very isolated before the pandemic started. There's quite a lot of evidence showing that, and I hope that one of the we do need to look for silver linings in what's happening, and I hope it's one of them. And I also think we also have an opportunity to improve access to healthcare in care homes using technology. There's been a lot of innovation in this area, and I really hope that this is something that will be here to stay.
So these developments can stay. That's what you say. Jean, we have another question to ask our participants, or
Absolutely.
maybe you already did.
So that's it has already been asked, and so. One of the questions was, what aspects of dementia has the COVID-19 pandemic affected most?
Yeah.
And again, we have 147 people that have already answered. So that's slide 9, if you could show that. And the questions that we asked people was it the daily lives of people with dementia and their carers? Mm-hmm. Was it nursing and residential care? Was it the diagnosis and medical follow-up? Was it counseling, support and respite care? Was it dementia research? Or was it the fundraising and funding for Alzheimer's charities? And you will see, not surprisingly, what people single out as one of the key areas is, of course, the daily lives of people with dementia, that 86% of people felt that this is really the aspect of dementia that has been most disrupted by the COVID-19 pandemic, but followed very closely, though, by nursing and residential care, which is really, again, the area of expertise of Adelina. And would you be surprised by these kind of results?
No, not at all. And it's been a terrible impact in two ways. In one way, is the fact that so many people with dementia died. We've been trying to count what the impact has been, because if we don't count what's happening, we are not able to make the case for more resources. So that was the really important thing at the beginning of the pandemic. We had very poor information, even about how many people with dementia were living in care homes, how many people without dementia, even we didn't have that data either. But it's very important to understand the size of this impact, to make sure that the policymakers allocate resources where they need it. And we found many countries, I've said that before, at the beginning of the pandemic, there was no thinking at all about the fact that we had people who were at very high risk of the bad outcomes of COVID if they got infected. And then that happened. And once they got infected, we weren't very sure what to do about it. They weren't admitted into hospital, and they weren't receiving end-of-life care. And unless we try to put numbers into this, all you get is the anecdotal reports in newspapers, but you're not able to make a case to a government to say, actually, you need to divert funding for personal protection equipment to care homes. You need to make sure they have enough staff. You need to make sure that we don't have triage policies that stop them accessing care, hospital care, when they could improve.
Yep.
And we can't just assume that just because somebody has dementia, there's no point in admitting them to hospital if they have COVID, because they have an opportunity to get better. So unless we count, we can't make the case. And counting is very hard because we haven't developed very good information systems about what happens to people with dementia. And I've been looking at data in the UK. We know a lot about how many people are diagnosed in the UK, but we don't know what happens to them afterwards. And it's only through some research projects we can estimate the share of people living with dementia in care homes, for example. And that's one of the impacts, that the pandemic, the virus itself. The other impact, of course, is the fact that people have not been able to see their relatives in many cases for many, many months. Sure. When they've seen them, it's been very short visits in ways that are very difficult, with distant, with across the window. And this, of course, is having an effect on the well-being of people living in care homes.
Of course.
And those with dementia may be also harder place to understand why this is happening.
Yes, I do understand. Lennert, they said that the results of the audience poll said that they thought research wasn't that affected, but I think you told us that it kind of was. Did you find something in this last period of time what you want to keep for the future? Something that's improved? Tell us.
Well, I think, and I mean, it was already raised there, but so one of the elements that we heard, actually both speaking to academic and public partners as well as private partners, in that sense, is that there was really a sense to keep the community as such connected more than ever, right? Okay. Because, I mean, research programs were being halted with people being technically unemployed. I mean, there was a risk of a disconnect. And I think also this event, so Jean and AE team, thanks for doing this. I mean, this is really needed to keep people connected and to keep the community alive. Yeah. With the research not being that impacted, I do think that neurodegeneration research in general always has been, you know, an area that really has to fight for resources. For funds, yes. Of course, it's a bit linked to awareness around it, but even now with all the prioritization efforts ongoing on a scientific level and going to that acute emerging issue, and the entire perception, of course, to a population that this is more important or worse than something chronic, you know, less aware, that of course doesn't help. But I think, I mean, the field is even more than ever now fighting, you know, against keeping this area on research funders' agendas.
Exactly. Yeah, there's an urgency there. So Jean, maybe we can ask the audience the same questions. Are there innovations we should keep after the pandemic is over? While I ask Mario the same question: what do you want to keep? What do you never want to let go? What do you want to develop that you found? Well, and then the audience can answer while you talk to us. Tell us. Yeah.
Okay. Wonderful. Well, technology, I mentioned before technology. Technology can solve many of the communication problems that we had during the pandemic. But this is something that I will keep for the future. But we must not forget that communication is not just words. It's also touch, look, and feels. Yes. And when words are difficult to express and there's a computer screen between us, everything is even more difficult. We must not forget that nothing can replace the warmth of a hug, of a look, of the physical presence of the people with dementia and its caregivers.
All right, but how are we going to solve that problem if people are not allowed? Do you have an innovation for that?
The challenge is, for example, to create a touchless community supportive of the needs of the people with dementia.
Yes, that is the challenge, right? So, Jean, what are people answering to the question?
And Kim, we have our results.
Yes, please.
So it's slide 10. And one of the feedback from people was that if they could just see the slide a bit longer because they just wanted to see some of the results. So the question that we asked was...
So please keep the results on a little longer. That's what the audience wants.
So what aspects of dementia... Sorry.
Go ahead.
Got the wrong slide. So are there innovations we should keep after the pandemic is over? And we asked or gave some ideas, which was remote counseling and support,
of course,
the family visits via teleconferencing, the online diagnostic screening and referral, and then for research also the kind of online recruiting for research projects. And we also gave them an option to say, well, we don't want any of this, and we just want to return to the pre-pandemic situation. That's actually something that only 13% of people chose, which is interesting, because I would have thought maybe a lot more people would have wanted that. But the most interesting or innovation that people really want to keep is remote counseling and support, because it helps and it doesn't always replace what was possible before, but it can definitely be a very nice add-on, which is my take on these kind of results. And the same thing for family visits. I think teleconference should never replace these kind of face-to-face contacts, but they can be a nice add-on in addition to the kind of face-to-face.
But that 13%, I don't know if it changed. Maybe we can see the results again. So now we only have 12%. But I'm still curious. 100%. What do you, all the guests, answer if you know the answer? Why would people say no? We want to return, and we don't want remote counseling and support in this way. What would you think if you use your imagination? What would the reason be? Any one of the participants there? Maybe Adelina. Tell me.
I'd say that face-to-face communication and touch are things that we will be missing and we will continue to miss. And I can't wait for I think none of us can wait for that to be over. And particularly, I think as for people with dementia, I think this is especially important.
Yes.
Because of emotional communication, and I think Myrra has spoken about that earlier, is just fundamental. I do think that having the option of also having online communication and support.
Sure. Yeah. So it's the real life presence that people miss if they want to return to the old situation. So what does it have to add, Mario? Also the diagnostic screening, it was a lower percentage. I thought about 35, right? Jean, is that right? That said that this was a good new instrument, but that's not a large percentage. What's the fear there, or what are the objections?
Well, in my opinion, I think it could be the fear that the doctor, to not feel the presence of the doctor. I mean, somehow, you want to speak to your doctor, not just let him see some exams. So you want to let him know you, let him hear you, not just read your vitals.
Yes, that's what they want. You feel the same, Lennert?
Yeah, I just wanted to, so thanks for pointing me out or calling me out, but I just wanted to pick on that, because I think that's absolutely right. And I mean, just also from a scientific perspective, I mean, looking at some of the assessments, you do have that importance of a non-verbal, body language component as well, right? With some of the assessments. So I think there is indeed a bit of a tendency, and now accelerated, of course, by COVID-19, to go to more remote trial settings, which is, I guess, something that we will continue to strive for even beyond the pandemic. But I think, I mean, there are still indeed those challenges, such as some of these assessments, not being able to do them face to face, right?
Yes, yeah, and it's harder to interpret every aspect of your diagnosis, right? Okay, so but people are kind of optimistic. You feel, Jean? You said I'm surprised that only 13 want to return.
Yeah, it really sounds as if. Again, what I tried to say earlier on is like I'm always in awe in the kind of adaptations that people were able to make in a very, very short time.
Yeah.
We had a meeting with our national organizations, and one of the representatives said that we had to make changes in a month that would normally take 5 to 10 years to get through boards and through planning and strategic planning and funding.
Yes.
And people had to adapt and completely change the way they ran services, provided information in such a short time, and they were able to do that. So it really says something about the resilience and the kind of dynamism of our sector, that the situation is not worse than it could really have been.
Yes, so things can happen faster. That's what you say. Can we hold on to that for the future? to keep everything developing in a rapid way like we do now?
I'm not sure I would want everybody to do this kind of panic
no, not the panic. No,
for the next 2 years. But
you're right.
I absolutely agree with you that sometimes we are a bit slow and we are used to doing things in a certain way, and we're not quick enough to adapt to a new situation. And this really showed us that if we absolutely have to, we can.
Yes, all of your guests respond and agree with you. No panic, but please, the speed is kind of nice. So Jean, before they leave us and start attending the conference in a different way, what do you want to ask your guests to end this segment about how the pandemic affected us?
I think they answer pretty much everything that
so you're dismissed.
To cover.
Yeah.
I think we're also getting close to the ending time, so rather than prolonging this,
I'll keep track of that.
Really
Don't you worry. We have all the time. But Lennert, is there something that you want to say to all the fellow members of the Alzheimer Europe, or ask? Maybe do you need help with something? Now's the chance.
Oh, wow, that's a question I didn't see coming. No, I think, just following on what Jean just mentioned, I think if the willingness is there, we can really do amazing things, right? And quite quickly. I'm not saying that we need to do it less quality-wise, if you like. But I think if the willingness is there, yes. So I think we should definitely keep the momentum, work together as a team, make sure we keep ND research on the research agenda, and work together, right?
Work together. That's very clear. So Adelina, you have any wishes or questions or comments?
Yes.
Okay. Let's hear it.
Yes, I do. I think we have an opportunity to really shine a light into dementia care and long-term care, and we really have the opportunity to learn from what's happened. I think a lot of the long-standing problems of long-term care have come to the surface due to the pandemic, and now we really, really need to act. And I think research on care, on carers, caring is fundamental to help move that forward. So, and I think this conference will also provide a lot of resources on this.
That's what we aim for, exactly. And Mario?
Well, yes, I think this is a time of possibilities. Yeah. We are social beings. We are a community if we meet each other, but the same people can create the stigma for people with dementia. So it all depends on us, how we educate the new generations on dementia. Perhaps in this difficult moment, it's easier to let them understand what loneliness, distance is like.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Like to be a person with dementia. It's similar somehow, no? What we are feeling inside our own is the same feeling that people with dementia have day after day after day. So maybe it's a good time to let them understand better this reality.
Thank you so much. That is deep. That's beautiful, because everybody starts to understand loneliness in these days, right? So there's an opening there. I want to say thank you also on behalf of Jean. I know for sure that he wants to thank you, Mario Possenti, Lennert Steukers, and Adelina Comas-Herrera. Thank you so much for telling us about how you handled all of this. And we wish you all the best in proceeding with that. Okay, keep it up, please, the good spirit. Bye and thank you. Jean will stay with me for a little while more, and Jean.
Thank you, Kim.
Yeah, I'd like to keep you here. Did you have any feedback or comments from the audience while we were discussing this? Still, besides the polls, what are they talking about?
So some people actually mentioned that, there was some feedback on the kind of fast responses. So some people thought that fast responses may be difficult, and that we need to consider all the options, and not just when we are facing a pandemic. There was also questions around some of the positives that COVID had raised, and remote counseling was something that also the audience felt that could be particularly good.
Yeah.
And I think there's one comment in particular which got a lot of upvotes, and that was, we think the Master of Ceremonies is doing a great job. So I think
yes.
that's a nice I got important feedback that people are happy with the way that the interaction in this session really works.
Thank you so much. That's a bright person, very intelligent. Thanks so much. But for now, you've listened carefully, I suppose. If you want to answer these questions, okay. So what did we do? How did we adapt? And what do we want to keep for the future? How would you, listening to your guests, now answer that question in a few lines, Jean?
So to sum up all the kind of interesting and really useful feedback.
Yeah, that's a hard task that I'm giving you now. I know.
Be an easy one.
No.
But again, I really feel that it highlighted a lot of problems that have existed in the long-term care sector, in how we are dealing with people with dementia, and basically it laid bare a whole range of issues that already existed. We found ways on improving the situation in a really quick way. And I think we also found ways that we can use in the future, and assistive technologies will definitely be something that should be used. It should be used as an add-on. It should not be used to replace human contact.
No.
And saying that this is a solution for social isolation, but it will help as an add-on to all the other great care that is required for people with dementia.
Is there a risk that people will say it replaces because it's easier, we can do it from the home, maybe it's even faster? Do you think that people have to be careful that they will not be replaced? Yeah?
Absolutely. I think there's always a concern. There's economic concerns that it might be easier for people in nursing homes to have assistive technologies rather than somebody there making sure that that kind of human contact is.
Yeah.
And I think I have to say, my mother, for example, who's 90 years old, she spent 6 weeks during lockdown with very little outside contact.
Horrible.
She found that hugely difficult. But some people with dementia spend months in nursing homes with very little contact. So imagine the situation that these people face.
Yes. Well, that's been said quite a few times. We cannot let that happen again. Okay, so that's the statement. A first conclusion. Thank you so much for now. We will start the afternoon program in a while, and there will be so many different sessions and posters to review, and you have people talking, and there will be discussions, everything, sponsors, exhibitions. What will you be joining, Jean?
Well, there's one of our projects, the one project that Lennert was presenting, Myrra. So they have a session on ethics, and I'll be joining that one and moderating that one this afternoon.
So you'll be doing that yourself.
A lot of other people have lots of other opportunities.
Many options.
They are spoiled for choice.
Yes. You probably chose your sessions already. It's very easy to find in your platform where to go. And so I say I wish you all the best for that. And I hope you have a lovely afternoon. Tomorrow morning we will meet again. Me and Jean will be hosting again another roundtable discussion, and we will have interesting topics to talk about. Right? So I'd say have a good afternoon. See you tomorrow, Jean. Good luck for now.
Goedemiddag en tot ziens.
This was for the Dutchies. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you so much. Oh yes, and we of course that's because before I forget, we're going to show a thank you and an appreciation sheet now, because there are many sponsors and people making this possible, and we're very happy that they do that. Right? We'll be showing that now. Thanks. Have a good afternoon.